I'm a pretty big fan of randomness in games, so I wanted to talk a little bit about that because I think randomness can be potentially used in games that are more or less linear when it comes to dealing with puzzles and, in general, progressing through the game. And I'm using a broad definition of the word puzzle, but I would say one of the most basic kinds of puzzles is that there is a door that's locked, it requires a key to be opened, and you have to find that key somewhere else in the level first. Or maybe instead of there being a key, there are switches that are scattered around, and you have to find those first and press those to open the door. I mean, it's the same thing. Or maybe there is no locked door, and the puzzle is just trying to find the right path through to the exit, which might not be immediately obvious on your first playthrough. Now, some genres are good at reducing linearity by design. I mean, roguelikes, open world games. But for the more linear style of adventure game, which does include some RPGs, I feel like incorporating some randomness into these games when it comes to puzzle elements is potentially a somewhat easy improvement. So let me go back to the first one. There is a locked door, and you have to find the key somewhere in the level. So the first time we play, we're not going to know where the key is, so we're going to be wandering around a little bit before we find it. But if we've already watched somebody else play this game on stream, or we've already played through it ourselves once before, now we're going to know the most optimized path to get through this part of the game forever. Okay, so then let's randomize the location of the key. Well, one way to do that would be to just pick a random empty spot in the map. Well, that has problems because you might end up with situations where the key is right next to the entrance or right next to the exit. So a better way to do that instead is to just make a list of candidate spots that seem like they would be reasonably good spots for a key to be, and then just randomly pick one of those on each new game. What about if the door is locked by a keypad, and you have to find that key combination written down somewhere before you can get through this door? Well, you can randomize that combination pretty easily, though you might want to exclude certain results like all zeros or 1, 2, 3, 4. But on top of randomizing the combination itself, you could also randomize where the player finds it. Now, one thing I should note here, a prerequisite to doing this whole kind of randomized Easter egg hunt thing is that your game needs other things going on. You need other interactable things. You need enemies or characters and traps and things like that. There needs to be other things on the screen that are moving around that you can interact with in some way, because yeah, if you're just wandering around static rooms looking for a key, that's not fun on its own, obviously.
Oh, there he is.
But I'm afraid I'm gonna have to kill you.
Okay. Well, we'll kill you. Khalid got a hit on him. Mutamin. Oh, see ya, fucker. Boom.
Anyway, I think this next concept is my favorite. It takes a little bit more planning, but I think for some games, especially like 2D tile-based games like this one, I think this is doable. So this is a layout of some hypothetical dungeon area, and this is what it might look like to traverse through this area as a player. Okay, so there's no big surprises, but watch what happens if we just change the locations of some of the doorways. The path the player will have to take through this area is now completely different. Now, like I said, this does take more planning, I think, than just randomizing the location of a key or something like that. But even in a small map like this, I'm pretty sure there are at least 2 or 3 more configurations of doorways that you could come up with to make this area feel different, potentially on different playthroughs. Anyway, these are just some design ideas. I realize there must be games that already do these kind of things, but at the same time, I do feel like it's not extremely common to be randomizing things like this in standard adventure games that are not open world or roguelikes. Anyway, I'm going to be doing this kind of randomization with some of the elements in this game. So for example, these tentacle locations are semi-randomized. The goal, of course, is just to break up the linearity, even if it's not by a huge amount. Anyway, just something to think about. That's all for now, so see you soon.